So, good morning. Second year Bcom Computer Applications, Semester 4 Web Technologies, Unit 2 and 3. Unit 2 and 3 and 4 also. One concept called events. One concept called it is an essay type question. Events and event handling and event programming. It is called as events, event handling, event handlers, and event programming. So this is the essay type question, compulsory essay type question, are part of DHTML also. So we discuss about all the basics. What are events? What are event handling? What is event programming? And what are the different types of events? What are the different types of events in HTML and JavaScript? All these things we are going to discuss here. So first part is what is the definition of event. So we start with some PPT. So JavaScript and HTML, all these are basics. So what is DOM? Another concept is called, or another part of. So what are the different technologies? What are the different technologies used in DHTML? Means first we know that first one is style sheets. Style sheets or CSS or cascading style sheets. Second one is JavaScript. Third one is DOM. Third concept is called as DOM. It is a document object model. Document object model, DOM. Fourth one is placing text and graphics. Fifth one is events, event handlers, and event programming. Events and event programming and event handling. So these are the different types of concepts. So we start with this PPT with JavaScript and DOM. So JavaScript relies on a document object model that describes the structure of the web page. So what is the DOM? DOM means in a single page or in a HTML page, we may divide the page into a small parts or components. They are called as objects. These objects can be accessible and used by some programming HTML and JavaScript program. So that type of concept is called as a document object model or DOM. So you can do a lot with just a little understanding of the DOM. So you use the DOM to access elements on the web page. So by using DOM, you can access or you can get each and every element or part, like some headings of HTML page or some tables in HTML page, body section of HTML page, like that. So you can get access or get each and every element on a web page. That element is called as, generally these elements are treated as objects. They are also known as objects. So every object in object oriented programming like JavaScript, every object have some properties with them and some events and event handling programming with them, and some methods are used like that. So you can capture events without knowing the DOM at all. So what is an event and what is an event handling? How to capture means, simple example is while working on a computer, when you press Control P, it automatically opens the Paint dialog box. So here that is a keyboard event. That type of event is called as, means whenever you press something, some action is going to be done. So that type of actions or the type of things are called as events. So you need the DOM to make any changes to the web page. So DOM is a programming document object model. So by using JavaScript, you may generally control them, or access them or design them with some programming. So next is, what is events? So what are events and what are the different types of events? And it is a compulsory setup question. What are the events? What are the different types of events? how to program events by using web technologies, what are event handlers, like that. So some but not all elements on the web page respond to user interactivity, means keyboard mouse clicks by creating events. So generally events are created whenever you want to whenever you want a particular action, a predefined action. So general events are called by using some keyboard. So different kinds of elements produce different events. So browsers are not all alike in what events are produced. We will concentrate on events from HTML for elements and commonly recognized events. You can put handlers on HTML form element. So if an event is not generated, the handler does nothing. A handler should be very short. So generally there are different types of events are used generally, like keyboard events, mouse events, uh, keyboard events and mouse events, Windows events, and like that. So keyboard event means whenever you press a particular key, a particular action is to be taken. Similarly, whenever you press a key on a mouse, a particular action is to be taken. That is the type of actions are called as a keyboard event, mouse events. So Windows events means whenever you close a window, the opened window, or when you want to minimize windows or you want to close windows, like that. So the type of commands or instructions are called as uh, mouse events. Generally they are called as mouse events. So a simple event handler, so what are events, what are event programming, and what are event handlers. So what are event handlers? Event handler means how to handle an event, an event in a program by using how to handle an event in a keyboard, how to handle an event in a HTML in a program like HTML and JavaScript, by using HTML and JavaScript. So generally these event handlers, are raised. Generally these event handlers are raised with some programming written in HTML and JavaScript. So examples are form events. So as we know that there are many types of events, like keyboard events are there, mouse events are there, form events are there, and like Windows events are there. So keyboard events means examples are when you generally keyboard events are used whenever you press on a key, or whenever you release a key, or whenever you press a combination of keys, like that. Example is Control S, Control P, like that. So mouse events. Mouse events means whenever you move the mouse pointer on a particular object, whenever you close the window, or whenever you open a window, whenever you click or double click on an object or on an icon or application, like that. Third type is form events. Form events means after filling the form or data in the HTML form, you want to submit it. That type of events are called as form events. Resetting a form, submitting a form. Similarly, filling or using various types of form controls like text box control and list box control, check box control, radio button control, like that. So fourth type of events are called as Windows events. What are Windows events? Windows events are generally closing a window, opening a window, minimize a window, and resizing a window, like that. So these are Windows. These are called as Windows events. So there are basically four types of window events and event handlers and event programming is there. First one is called as keyboard event. Second one is called as mouse event. Third one is called as form event. Fourth one is called as Windows event. So this is a simple example of using a window or an alert, an event in a HTML programming. So Generally these events are used with various commands like on click, on double click, like that. So here the button is enclosed in a form. The tag is input type is equals to button. So all these are, we know that. Here we simply use on click event. Here we use one event, keyboard event called on click. On click is equals to within quotes some command. On click is equals to within quotes some command. So capitalization, as this is, we know all these, we know about all these things, means case sensitive. JavaScript is JavaScript and HTML. JavaScript is by default case sensitive. Common events. So what are the different common events? What are the different types of common events? What are the different amounts of keyboard common events? Means we know that keyboard events are many keyboard events like on click, on dbl click, on mouse down, on mouse over, on mouse out, on mouse up, on mouse move, like that. All these are called as keyboard events. So what are keyboard events? Keyboard events are generally used with some commands. Keyboard events are generally used with some commands. So most HTML elements produce the following events. On click means the form element is clicked, means whenever you click on an object or icon or a button, on click is used. On dbl click means the form element is clicked twice in close succession. And on mouse down means the mouse button is pressed while over the form element. And on mouse over, the mouse is moved over the form element. On mouse out, the mouse is moved away from the form element. On mouse up means the mouse button is released while over the form element. On mouse move means the mouse is moved, like so. All these are keyboard events. So these are all used with JavaScript along with HTML programming. So these are the simple examples of using various events. So next, events and event handlers. So what is the exact definition of event and event handler? What is event handlers? So event, what is the meaning of event? Means events are generally raised. Events are generally raised whenever a particular action is to be going on. Whenever a particular action is to be initialized. So what is an event? An event is raised. An event is raised whenever a particular action is to be required or whenever a particular action is to be used. So there are many types of, by using some programming languages like JavaScript and HTML. So there are many types of events, and there are many types of ways to call an event. So here there are 4 events: load, unload, error, abort. So generally these are form events. They are also called as form events or Windows event. So what is event? Load applies to document body, occurs when the user loads the page in a browser. So generally load event is used whenever the page, HTML page, loads into a browser. So handler, what is handler? Handler means how to handle this event by using JavaScript program. What is handler? Handler means how to handle or how to use this event on a JavaScript program. So load event is used with onload. Unload event is generally used with on unload. And error event is generally used with on error. And abort event is generally used with on abort. So events and event handlers. So key down, these are keyboard events. All these are keyboard events. So what are keyboard events? Key down, key up, key press, change. So key down means generally user depresses a key. Key down means generally user depresses or depresses a key means whenever the user presses on a key, particular key or a button on a keyboard. So how to handle this? By using on key down. By using on key down. Key up means user releases a key. So when you press a key down event is called, and when you release a particular key up event is applied. So generally these two events are applied to documents, images, links, text areas, like that. So how to use key down event? On key down. On key down event. By using on key down or a handler, we may use or call a key down event. Second one is key up. Key up event is generally used with on key up. On key up. Key press. What do you mean by key press? Means documents. This is also applied to documents, images, links, and text areas. So user presses or holds down a key. User presses key. Press means user presses or holds down a key. In that situation, we may use key press event. So the handle is what do you mean by handle? Handler means the command or the instruction in JavaScript or HTML. So on key press. Key press event is generally used with on key press event. On key press event handler. So change event means change event is generally applied or used with on change. Change event is generally applied or used with on change. This event change is applicable to text fields, text areas, select list. So occurs when user changes when user changes the value of an element. Generally, whenever you change the contents of a text box or text areas, this change event is used, or on change event is handler is automatically called. Next, mouse events. So what are mouse events? All these three are called as there are many other events are also used, but these are the basic events. So what are mouse events? Mouse down. Mouse events are mouse down, mouse up, and click. Mouse events are mouse down, mouse up, and click. So what do you mean by mouse down? What do you mean by mouse down? So what do you mean by mouse down and mouse up and click? So mouse down event. Mouse down events are generally used with event is generally used with whenever you press user depresses a mouse button. Whenever the user depresses a mouse button, in that case is a mouse down event is occurred. And on mouse down handler is used. Mouse up. Mouse up means this is also used to apply to documents, buttons, and links. User releases a mouse button. Whenever the user releases a mouse button, mouse up event is called, or on mouse up handler is used. Whenever the user presses a button on a mouse, it is called as a mouse down event, and that handler is also called as on mouse down. Third one is called as click event. What is a click event? Click event means generally whenever user clicks on a form element or link. Click event means whenever user clicks on a form element or link, it is called as a on click element. Whenever So what are mouse events? Mouse events are automatically raised, or mouse events are automatically called whenever we operate or use the buttons on the mouse. Whenever we operate or operate the buttons on the mouse. So there are three simple examples of mouse events are mouse click, click. So what are the events? Click, mouse up and mouse down. Click event is generally raised. Click event is so click event is generally raised whenever you click or use the mouse to click on an object or image on a web page. So this is applicable to buttons, radio buttons, check boxes, submit buttons, reset buttons, links, and the forms and HTML page. So when this event occurs means user clicks on a form element or link. Whenever the user clicks on a form or element, this click element, this event is automatically raised. So how to use it, how to handle it? So by using on click handler, by using on click handler, by using on click handler, we may handle it. We may handle it with we may handle it or use it. Second one is mouse up. Mouse up means what is a mouse up? Mouse up means whenever user releases, whenever the user releases a mouse button, this event is called. So this also applies or applicable to documents, buttons, and links. This also applicable to documents, means all the HTML documents, buttons, any document, buttons and links. So when this event occurs means user releases a mouse button. When this occurs means user releases a mouse button. User generally releases a mouse button. In that case, this event is used. It is called as mouse up event. It is called as mouse up event. So these are called as mouse events. Mouse events means these events are raised. These events are raised automatically whenever a particular mouse action is or mouse event is occurs. Means when you press a double click, or when you press a single click, or when you move the mouse pointer over a page, or when you click on an object or a button, or when you double click on an object or a button. So all these things will automatically raised. All these things will automatically raised whenever these buttons are used, or whenever these buttons, or whenever these left button and right button and like that are used. So first type of events are called as keyboard events. First type of events are called as keyboard events. Second type of events are called as mouse events. Third type of forms are called as events are called as form events. So fourth type is this page also continues with the mouse events. So what are the mouse events? Mouse down, mouse up, click, mouse over, mouse out, select. So select event, whenever you when you use this select event, generally select event is used with text fields, text areas. The user selects form elements, forms. So user selects form elements input field. Example is on select. On select event is generally used. On select event is generally used whenever you select a particular text box, or whenever you select an element like any element like text box control for radio button control, like that. Mouse out and mouse over. So mouse out means generally this applies to mouse buttons and areas and links. So whenever a user moves cursor out of an image, map, or link. So whenever the user generally moves on a map or a link whenever you moves out means whenever you leaves on a particular object, these events are generally occurs. They're called as, example is mouse out, on mouse out. So how to handle it? On mouse out handler, on mouse, by using on mouse handlers we may use mouse out event. Next is mouse over. Mouse over, so mouse over means generally this applies to links. Generally this applies to links. So occurs when a user moves cursor over a link. Occurs, generally these occurs whenever the user moves cursor over a link. Whenever the user moves cursor over a link. So event is mouse over, and handler is on mouse over. Event is mouse over and handler is on mouse over. So generally this applies to the links. So all these 6 are called as mouse events. So mouse down, mouse up, click, mouse over, and mouse up and select, and mouse over and mouse out. So next, fourth type of events are called as Windows events. Fourth type of events are called as Windows events. So what are Windows events? Generally these Windows events occurs whenever you minimize a window, open window, or closes a window, maximize the window, or resize the window size, resize the window size, or moves the window, or open multiple windows, or close all windows, like that. So examples of Windows events are move, resize, and drag drop. Examples of Windows events are called as move, resize, and drag drop. So generally these 3 are applicable to Windows events. So move event occurs when user or script moves a window. Move event occurs whenever the user or the script moves a window. So how to handle it? Example is on move. On move means whenever the user moves the window on a Windows operating system or any GUI based platform by using mouse. So how to use it? On mouse. Resize means resize, to change the size of a window, active window. So this also applies to Windows and Windows events. So user or script resizes a window. For example is how to handle it? On resize. Example is on resize. Next, drag drop. Next is drag drop. Drag drop means this also applies to Windows and GUI based. User drops an object onto the browser window. So whenever you move a particular object, or copy a particular object into a window, it is called as drag drop window. So example is on drag drop. Example is on drag drop. So next, fifth type of, so what are the 5 events? Or 5 event handlers? Means first one is keyboard events, second one is mouse events, third one is Windows events, fourth one is form events, fifth one is fourth one is mouse events, keyboard events, and Windows events. So fifth one is form events. So what are form events? Generally form events are applicable. Form events are used and applicable on HTML forms or form tag. So what are the form events and event handlers? So there are different types of events are used: focus, blur, reset, submit. So these are the form events. These are called as form events. So focus means generally all these are applicable to Windows as well as forms So focus means focuses windows and all form elements. So occurs when user gives element input focus. Example is on focus. Next is blur event. Blur event. What is a blur event? Windows and all form elements. It is also applicable to windows and form elements. So user moves focus to some other elements. Example is on blur. Reset event is generally applies to form elements or form controls. User clicks a reset button. Example is on reset. Next, submit button or submit event. What is a submit event? Submit event, it is generally used with form events. Occurs when user clicks on a submit button. Generally used with or occurs with whenever the user clicks on a submit button. Example is on submit. Example is on submit. So back to DOM. So we are continuing the concept with the DOM. So you can attach event handlers to the HTML elements with a very little knowledge of DOM. However, to change what is displayed on the page requires knowledge of how to refer to the various elements. The basic DOM is a W3 and the highest level element for the current page is window, and everything else descends from that. Every JavaScript variable is a field of some object. In the DOM, all variables are assumed to start with a window dot. All other elements can be reached by working down from there. So what is the structure of DOM? DOM is a document object model. So what is the structure? What is the structure of a DOM concept? The current window. So the current window means the document. Generally the current window, whenever you open a window, it is called as the default window or a current window. So it contains various properties or navigation objects like documents, packages, history, location, frame, navigation or navigator, self, window. Like similarly, the navigator contains other things and document contains. Here the document means the document object or a document current window file or the file opened current window. So it contains many other properties like forms and anchors, links, images, applets, embedded like that. And form events, and again forms is an event, it is an object or property, means array of form objects. So it contains all the other elements like HTML form elements like buttons, checkboxes, file upload, hidden, password, radio, reset, select, submit, text area, like that. Again, in that if you take some select button, some options, or if you take some text box button, other options will be used. So this is the structure of using DOM. So simple examples are fields of window. Fields of window means window, self, parent, top, frames, length, like that. So we will continue in the next class.